Hey, 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 Cindy Gould here, and welcome back to Create Your Victorious Life. I also want to welcome you to the Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. You can download the Zingo TV app on your respective app stores, whether it's iOS or Android devices. And while you are downloading, please feel free to leave a beautiful and stellar comment and a great rating. The app is totally free, which is so great because we all love free. And Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire TV, of course, Roku and Roku Sticks, also on all your smart TVs 2016 and forward. And I wanted to speed through that because I'm so excited about my beautiful friend, Shana Gourdine, who is giving us her precious time today. She's not just cool, and I just love her. But let me give you some of the highlights. There's so many things. She has such a compelling story from her journey of empowerment, really, and it's such a testament to resilience, to courage, to bravery, to love, to self-love, and all the good things that you can find when you dig deep into the human spirit. She's confronted the scary and harsh and painful realities of domestic violence, holy smack, of multiple health things that most of us never even have to consider, and you would never know to be around her. I've done many things with her and would never know. She's the thing that's really cool about her. One of the many things is that she refuses to allow those things to define her. It's like she's taken those things and repurposed them and woven them into the tapestry of her purpose so that she can actually show up bigger and deeper for the people that she shows up for. And that is enormous. Now, here's some of the cool stuff. Like, I like her style, I'll just say. And also, she is a poet, a motivational speaker, an author, a writer. She's got a magazine. She's got scads of books. She's all over the place. From her podcast to self-love coach, she's doing it all. And on top of it, she is a mom and has a partner. And she has her husband or boyfriend, or anyway, she's got a person. And she does all of those things. And I'm not, I'll only mention one more thing and then take it away. But she has also been recognized and acclaimed with the Purple Ribbon Award of Courage, Viewers' Choice Award, as the executive producer of the film Through Your Eyes, The Mask Behind the Mask. Please welcome to our screen today, Create Your Victorious Life, Shana Gourdine.
Hi.
Now, did you record that? No, I'm just kidding. You can just pop it up whenever you're not having a good day. So
I
thank
know,
you.
right?
Yeah, right. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every time I get to share space with you. And just like when I interviewed you the other time, I always ask, how have you created so much victory in your life with some of the challenges that you have? And so to answer that, I would love for you just to give our audience just a little peek into some of the things that have opportunities, I guess I'll call them, that you've been given in your life to either tap out or to jump in. So take it away, love.
Well, one way I created victory was, of course, using my voice, being able to inspire the youth. I decided to create the children's book because it was a way for me to tap into the kids and let them know that they have power. So to let them know that they have victory. And, me having two kids, why not inspire, our future generation? Being able to tap into the fact is that, yes, I went through domestic violence. It was horrible. It was not the best thing in the world. But I
Right.
took that and repurposed it. And I decided to create the books, but not just the books. I created the podcast. And from the podcast, we created the magazines, which with Sheena Master Motivation, we go into the shelters and we provide the workshops and the stability for women to let them know that, there is another side after going through trauma, going to the shelters of the domestic violence families or the homeless shelters and letting them know, like, yeah, you might have went through something in life, But there is victory on the other side, but you got to do the work. You got to be able to step into the mess,
Mhm.
be able to say, "Hey, I want to show up. I want to be different. I want to start a new beginning and be
Yeah.
victorious in my life." For the people that may be dealing with pain, I was able to say, "Hey, you know what? That's what the doctor said, but that's not what I'm going to let lead my life." And a victorious way of leading it is to being able to show up for other people and showing them that regardless of the cards you're dealt, regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what you're struggling with, it is okay to show up happy, authentically, with a smile on your face, regardless of what you're dealing with, because somebody else might have had it worse. So, being victorious in my life is being able to show up for others. And, like I say, being dope, being dedicated to other people empowerment, being able to inspire them, being able to heal, which is helping empowering amazing lives, being able to use my words in my poetry, the voice to inspire somebody that new beginnings can be hard but you can do it, being in the forefront and showing individuals that yes, life can be rough, but the vision is way bigger than me. So that's
Mm.
me being victorious, is showing up for other people and just doing it.
I love it. I love, and there's so much there to unpack. I can tell you're a poet, and I can tell that you speak because you're cadence, and you're like, okay. And I love that about you. And you and I have hung out a bunch, and so let's go back. I would love to hear about, and would love for you to share about the either the masterminds or the things that you do with the women that have experienced these types of things. Whatever those opportunities they've been given, with masked as challenges. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, where, if there's somebody, is it something local to you, or is it online, or?
Okay, so with me doing the workshops, as far as like going in the shelters, it can be virtual or it can be in person. I've traveled, I've done it in person, and I've done it online. And with it, it's like, I do workshops. Prime example, I'll give one of my workshops that I do, and I call it looking in the mirror. And I go to the shelters, and I literally give them a mask. And it's a plain white mask, and they get to like literally paint whatever color they're feeling, and
Mm,
however their day may be going. And they get to write how they feel at that very moment. And in the midst of this, we're talking about healthy and unhealthy relationships. We're talking about the things of how to know your worth, and giving them affirmations and pouring into them, and knowing that, letting them know that you are worthy and you deserve to be loved. And looking in this mirror, you need to know that you're worth being loved, and loving yourself, and packing and loving and trusting yourself after going through whatever you may be dealing with at the moment. And they get to write on there how they feel, and then I give them some positive words, because I've had people put negative words because they feel negative about themselves. And
yeah.
being able to pour into them at that moment, to let them know that there's boundaries you can put up, letting them know that it's okay to say the word no when people don't understand, and it's okay to say you're not okay, giving them those things to use the tools for later,
Right. I
you
love
know
that, and I love the whole mask, and I know you use the mask in a lot of different things that you do, including the magazine and the other pieces, which we'll talk about in the magazine as well. And I want to shout out to Vinu Keller, who's family to me. She's also my coach, and she has her own show, Redefining Parenting, and she is just stellar. But what she's telling us is she loves that repurpose. Yeah, repurposing that pain. And what you're doing even with these women is you're helping them to repurpose it. And also, I was on a Zoom earlier today where we were talking about when people get tripped over, am I enough?
hmm
That whole enoughness, right? And sometimes it's subjective, like you walk into a room and it's your children, am I enough there? Or then you walk into a presentation and you're nervous or whatever, am I enough there? Or in a relationship, right? And in your life, did you ever struggle, especially during the domestic violence times, and as a mama, because I know you have your two beautiful girls, Did you ever struggle with that, the enough piece?
I have, after going through trauma, and hearing, and it's not just the physical, somebody hitting you, but it's the mental and the verbal of people telling you that you're not worth nothing or you're not all these things. And you get the replay of these words as you're going through it and you're coming out of it. And, it's that thing, those triggering moments to where you start remembering these things. And you have to do a mindset change and remember that you are enough. You have to go through the detox of the things that people have filtered into you and
Mm,
remember what your real purpose was before you actually met that person, who you was before you dealt with that person, and understanding that who and what your value is as a person.
mhm. True. So true. I know that, in fact, it's funny because Vinu herself, the one that's here, she had shared this with me and it really landed for me. It, as opposed to trauma, because, I've even said even in a talk that I crafted about tripping over your traumas and what's interesting is when you take that title off of it, right? Even it was traumatic, it did cause injury. And when you again, using the words that we used earlier, repurpose that or restructure it, and hey, it was an experience I had, right? It makes it a
Mhm.
lot easier to even do exactly what you just said, to unpack. And with some people, and I'm sure you know this, I know this in different times of my life, with some people, like, yes, remembering who I was before that person showed up in my life. But what if, because clearly I attracted that person into my life. So where was I before that person? Think, feel, do, have, as I think, so I feel, right? What was I thinking to feel what I was feeling, to do what I was doing, to have that person in my life? And to
Right.
go back there and heal that, right?
Hmm.
So that going forward, like you've done, I'm sure, in your current relationship, from before, once that's healed, going forward, okay, now who are the possibilities of who I get
Right.
to align with, right?
Absolutely, because we have to remember the things that we might have had unsettled before then to accept the
Ooh.
situations that we end up in.
Do you know what you just said? Repeat that. That was gold.
I said we have to remember the unsettling things that we were dealing with to accept the relationships that we settled for.
Yes. That was gold, girlfriend. So when you get this, and clip that out and use it. Because that was great. But that's so true. Like, where have we settled and where have we not, shown up for ourselves? Like, one of the things that I really love about you is the example you are to your girls, because I know there are days when you are in a lot of pain and because of your health challenges, opportunities, I corrected myself. And I know you are. And there's sometimes where you do say, hey, Cindy, I'm not today, and I have so much love and respect for that. And yet I know when you show up, you're smiling, your girls see that, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you've got your fingers in a lot of pies that you've
I do.
created.
I do. I do.
Because they get to see you do all these things that, I mean, you're doing all the things. So let's talk magazine first, and then we'll go books. So talk
Okay.
to us about your magazine.
Well, this marvelous issue of Unmasking What's Crazy, I actually have a copy. This is the last issue that I just did, Unmasking Motivation. And I birthed that actually this year, 2024. I birthed it, Unmasking Motivation magazine. And very first issue came out in February. And it's a way to help people, repurpose their things that they may be dealing with, and being able to use it to reach out to the ones that needs to hear this testimony, or sharing business ideas that people might be stuck with, or giving them like business tips and strategies, and giving people a place to use their voice, giving people a place to unmask the things that they want to write about that they might not was prepared to write about before, giving them a comfortable space to know that they're motivating someone out there to inspire them to do something different than settling into a comfort zone, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. You know what?
Being
Go ahead. Sorry.
being able to open that door, I feel amazing because some people, especially starting out in their career, they don't have the opportunity because it might cost too much or it might not financially benefit them as a new entrepreneur or a new author or a new business owner. So why not make my place a stepping stone for people?
Right. Right. I love that. I was very blessed. I got to be in your first issue, and I'm
Yeah,
excited about Christmas time because I get to be on the cover, and I'm so honored and so excited. That's my one of my favorite months of the year, and it'll be super fun. And I love what you're doing with that, and it's so inspiring and motivating, and the contributors and the authors, the writers that you have that are sharing their stories, just spectacular. So now you've taken that and you have a new book. Let's do the new book and then go back to all your library.
absolutely. So what I'm working on now is I'm actually the visionary of the project, and it's called Turning My Pain into Purpose. And that was birthed on my idea of, me actually just getting diagnosed, or shall I say getting told that I was having another condition, was my DVT. And in that moment, just keep hearing something always coming, because for the last 10, 11 years I've been dealing with different health conditions coming left or right for me. So why not use another voice of pain to help people share their pain of what they turned into a purpose, because we all have different stories of something we turned into a purpose. So, with this book, it's a collective of various authors, including Cindy, being able to share their moments of whatever they pain that they might have been dealing with, and purposes into a book. But it's not just going to be a book, it's going to be a movement. We're going to make it to a movie. Like, my goal is to really make this not just a one-time project. This is like volume 1 into volume many, because sometimes somebody else needs to see the pain that someone else go through to get inspired that they can get through something. you
Right.
know Me, when I first was diagnosed with my ankylosing spondylitis, you know, the questions we always tend to ask when we go through something is, why me? Why did I get it? And then you got to do the research on behind the other family members that might have had it. But I have no one else in my family that I've heard or got to the fact is that they have this condition.
Wow.
So I sit alone in this condition in my family. So as I go through this journey, that's like, you just looking at it like, okay, so why was I diagnosed and had to been dealt with these cards? And I looked at it like, you know what, my pain is a purpose, because there's someone out there. When I started talking about my conditions, I started getting people reaching out to me about their conditions, because they trying to figure out what's going on with them, because they listen to my symptoms. And there's people from out of the country that's trying to figure out things they could do or things they
Wow.
can ask their doctor. So being able to be a mouthpiece to a condition that some people might not have nobody else to talk to about, I am opening the door for other people to ask these questions of things they might not know what to ask their doctors.
That's so valuable. And again, you've repurposed it and channeled it in a direction. Like you've taken it, and it's such a different frequency, right?
Right.
Like you could live in the land of suck and be in the woe is me and be
Right.
bitter, and instead you're not bitter, you're better. And you've used it to springboard into, better, deeper wells of love and kindness and brilliance. I love that. It just, you know, as just a sister on this path with you, I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously, like I have Like in Hawaii, we'd say, "Hey, I get chicken skin. I have like goosebumps," like God bumps. Like even what Venu's saying, she says, more people need to see that. Our pain is our purpose. It was all a gift. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a
It's a
choice.
choice.
100%. Yes, yes, and yes. And you're not denying the fact that these things are there. It's almost as though you're denying that they're allowed to be there. Like, you know what I mean? Or they're allowed to have the effect that you may think is supposed to be the effect. Does that make
What
sense?
I Yes, what I say to it is you may gave me that diagnosis, but it's not gonna stop me from my glory.
Ooh, ooh, another gold moment. Good job, girl. So, okay, so we've got the book, we've got the magazine. Now, talk to us about the other, because you've written other books.
Yes, I've written like 6 other books besides the one that is coming out. Now, if we go backwards to the 2 children's book, because those came before the turning my pain into purpose. And with those, one of the books is called Come and Learn Your A's to Z with Me. That came out last year. And I did that book was to inspire kids that as they learn the ABCs, they get to they get to inspire affirmations on their journey with it. So it's
Ah,
like A for ant, but it's A for amazing, B for bat, but B for bravo. So I'm pouring into them as they learn these words, as they get to learn in the youth, as they're coming up.
mhm,
So then you have the power in me, which that was based off of me coming out of COVID when I wrote that book with my kids. And the thing about it is, it was the power within me that kept me alive during COVID and being able to inspire my kids. After coming out of socialization, you're not able to talk, you have to be locked down for 2 years. It's like, all right, what can I do to inspire the babies? Because, the world has changed now, you
mhm,
know. So
mhm,
being able to create that book with my daughters, making them the characters and the co-authors on both the children's book, being able to inspire them to start their writing career at the age at that time they were 11 and 12. They're 12 and 13 now, but being able to inspire them that your dream can start anywhere, but you got to just do it and the powers within them. And we
mhm,
use that to go to the schools and talk to the kids and teach that the power regardless of their environment, what they may be dealing with, what they may be going through. If they want to be the president of the United States, they can. And being able to just pour that into them, plant the seed, and it starts somewhere.
right.
Then we have my next book, what was called Masking My Brokenness, which was a visionary project that I did with 5 other women, being able to have them talk about what they've been through and going to the next channels of how they empowered themselves to the next level. It was a marvelous project. We actually won a book award for that, so it's an
That's
award book out of the DAG Awards for 2024, I mean 2023. So it was marvelous to do that with them. And then we go into my mass series where my journey started. We have The Mask Behind the Mask, which is a book of poetry and spoken words that I put together for people to love all the imperfections despite of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Then you
mhm,
have Unveil the Broken Piece of the Mask, where that's poetry, but I'm telling you how to embrace yourself through poems and giving you affirmations and a space to journal in the back because it takes work to take off these pieces of the mask. Then we have the evolution of mass, with it's also poetry, but it's the empowerment of knowing that I am unapologetically, authentically loving who I am, where I am at this moment, at this very time, and I am showing up
mm.
loving all of me.
Gosh, that's just awesome. Your not just your gifts, but the fact that you're walking them out and bringing them to the world is such, like, it ignites me. I'm like, go girl, go girl. And and then there's this, and then there's that, and then there's this, again, peeling off those masks with each one that you're doing. Now, where can people find your book? Your Amazon. Yes.
It's on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Walmart.com, all the et ceteras, but it's also you can always reach out to me on my website, which is www.sheenaunmaskedmotivation.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, maybe even the parking lot of McDonald's. Listen, I'm selling them everywhere, anywhere. Don't even matter.
I love that. The parking lot of McDonald's. So now you've got your girls and you've got your busy life and you've got all these things that you get to do. What are some things, some real, like real things that just bring Sheena joy?
Oh, well, I like to eat, but
Hey,
because
are
I
you
like
a
to
foodie?
cook. I'm a foodie. Listen, give me a
Me
good
too.
look. Take me to Fridays. Give me some nice, good, big, Jack Daniel sauce on them ribs. Listen, we good to go with some good. Listen, some coleslaw on the side and some fries. Yeah, I'm a foodie. I love food. I'm originally from South Carolina, so I
Mhm.
like to eat. But what really, really brings joy to my heart and ears is being able to speak on that passion of what I truly do, like being out with my girls,
Yeah,
going to like domestic violence awareness events and giving back to the people and telling them the signs, or being able to talk about that book I birthed out, because it's really a passion for me. Like, it's not a job, it's really a passion, like to be able to get on interviews like this and really talk about the victories and the wins,
yeah,
because these victories that I took help someone else take them. You
yep,
know,
yep.
being able to get that message from someone that I went and did a workshop at, and they emailed me like, you know what, you're my angel. You got me out of a situation that I didn't think I could get out of.
Mm,
Or, I've been on the news and I get an email like, oh my God, I just saw you on TV and I remember meeting you when you signed my book. Like, just those moments of knowing that my words impacted somebody from my testimony of what I walked through, because I know my journey wasn't easy. Being in the situations I was in, I could have been dead, honestly. But by grace and mercy, I was saved. Because I
yeah,
remember going back into my house after my tragic moments and looking under the mattress, and there's two box cutters on the other side of the bed where the person was laying at. I was thrashed. I was choked in my sleep, dragged up the stairs, and being able to take those moments and not be sad about it anymore and say, you
right.
know what? I know you went through that and I know you experienced that. But you want to know what it looks like to be back on your feet and start a new chapter? Let me help you.
100%. 100%.
That's where my glory is.
100%. And a lot of even in myself, in my own life, there are times when I felt like it was important to share and to talk about those experiences in my own life, and not those exact experiences, but similar. And there are times where I didn't, and now I'm. It's almost like you say, unmasked, and I think unleashed. At the same time, it's like, okay, here we go. And then who is it that you're actually, or that you're bringing, magnetizing into your world, that gets to be uplifted from and given permission when they don't really need permission, but
Right.
feeling like they do, given permission to uh, put on those big girl panties and let's go, and let's rock and roll. So for you, I know that I know this, but just for our audience, if you're willing to share, what were those moments, what was your final, okay, I'm done?
My final I was done was definitely knowing I had enough. Like, seeing my daughters,
Mm,
knowing that I went through this and this is not the life I made for them.
right,
That was like, it's not okay. You know how you leave a relationship and you go back, but
right,
to keep going back, it's like, you know what, you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same answers. So
right.
it's like, what do I need to change about the situation? And it was one night, literally, mind you, I had my arm in a cast, just got out of surgery, had reconstructive surgery. Get tired of fighting when you're fighting for something that's keep abusing you. and
Right.
you're going through this moment, and you literally, enough is enough. Like, my body was tired, my mind was tired, my heart was tired. I was just tired. And I know my kids needed better, and I was living for them and myself.
Right.
So enough was enough. And
Right.
it's like, girl, get up and go out that door and don't look back.
Right. Right. It's like, get up, Neo, right? From the Matrix.
Hmm.
That's,
Yeah,
I
like, get
know,
up.
right? And I know for myself, even you can't even champion or protect these until you can protect you and war and champion you
Right.
and really step in that gap for you and just say, okay. And then, and I know as mamas and as parents, I had an experience that, golly, it was in 2020 where I just felt just this burning in my spirit to sit with each of my children privately. And I set a time to do that, all in separate days because it was too much to do it all in one
All
day.
once.
Yeah, and just to tell them, because they're all adults, and I saw things in their lives that I know were passed on from experiences that I put in their lives, right?
Hmm.
When they were younger. And I just went to each of them and I said, hey, you know what? In my at, in those times in my life, and I me so Ho'oponopono prayer, which is the Hawaiian, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. But I did that with each of my children, and I said, look,
Hmm.
I did this, and I see that result in your life this way. Please take a look at that for yourself, and there weren't bad things that, and there isn't really a bad, right? So there weren't bad things, but there were things where they could find more joy if that wasn't hindering them, or they could have
Right.
deeper connection that wasn't in the way. Well, I was a part of what put that there, right? So
Hmm.
for me, I had that privilege of just sitting with my children and saying, hey, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. Lots of tears, lots of, what was great for me was that my babies, who were, like I said, all grown-ups, um none of them were attacking or anything. They were just like, okay, mom. And I said, please share with me what your experience was, or how I can make it better now in your life. And it was great. And what I didn't know, obviously, when I did that my son Mana the next year would move back home to heaven unexpectedly. And so I invite each of you that are watching now or in the future to spend that time with any of your loved ones that you may need to do that with, right?
Hmm.
And do it with yourself. Like, in order for me to do that, I had an experience in the mirror with myself where I had to walk myself through that. Hey,
Hmm.
Cindy, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you for being my body. Thank you for being here, all of that, right? Did you ever have any of those types of experiences after you left?
Yes, I did. Like, literally, I call it the look in the mirror moment. And
Mhm.
literally, you have to sit nakedly, vulnerably, and, embrace the mess and forgive yourself for going through it. Because, we tend to, blame ourselves for a lot of things, and we blame people, and we become the victim in some of it too. But we have to then take our account for our part, and then apologize after taking the accountability of the part. So
Right.
yes, I went through that. I even wrote myself a letter and burned it.
Good for you. Good for you. You know what I love about when we really take that extreme ownership, like the book that Jocko Willink wrote, the Navy SEAL, but we take extreme ownership for all of it. For all of it. That doesn't mean that you caused him to put the, box cutters under the bed and to say those words to you. But what was your part in that?
Hmm.
And what was the treasure you got out of it? Like, what
Right.
did you get from that? I mean, is
Mhm.
whatever that treasure is, what if it was something that opened the door for other healing, or like, there's so many different things that I've journaled actually about that. Oh, here's another golden nugget I got, or here's another treasure I got. And when you go on a treasure hunt like that, as opposed to, and then he did this and he said that, and she did this and that, and because of this and that, instead of that, if you can shift that frequency, right, to just digging for gold and digging for gems and going on that treasure hunt, oh my gosh, what a different outcome we have, right?
Right.
So fun. So I know that you're like the word person extraordinaire with all of the things, the literary pieces that you put on the planet. How were you like that as a child? Like,
Well, I was writing poetry since I've been in like the age of 12. So I've been writing for a long time. Like, during school, I was like that quiet kid, shy, didn't talk much. I went to school, I did my work, I didn't get in trouble, didn't get in fights. And I wrote a lot. Like, I wrote poetry since I was like in middle school, and I used to take it and I actually used to do the contests in the magazines and, just always, yeah, since 12.
that's so cool. So you were the quiet kid that had a ton to say.
Yeah. Yep. Just didn't say much.
You just put it on paper, which is great.
Yep.
So
And then what's crazy is now I'm not the quiet kid. I'm the one that has a lot to say.
I was going to say, I've been around you enough to know that nope, nope, this is the girl that speaks up, which is again so much to the credit to your resilience and to your growth. So in talking, I my hallucination is obviously that a lot of the folks that are going to watch this have experienced in their life some form of abuse or feeling less than, not enough, not measuring up, whatever all of that is, right? And what would you say to them as far as maybe one or two real tangible tips or tools or techniques that they could use to create victory right now, today in their lives?
Well, to the one that might think that I'm not enough or think that, I'm not worthy of being loved, remember you was born with a purpose, and remember that you are everything that you are born to be. So the one that might feel like you're hopeless or there's a lack thereof, know that your mission, your purpose, and your victory is within you, and you have to fight for it. You have to keep going regardless on how tough or how rough it gets. Know that there is a light on the other side, and know that it takes time sometimes because it might looks cloudy, it might looks rainy, but just know the sun will come out.
I hear that song now. We don't have red hair though, so it's not going to fly.
Right.
But that was so beautifully said, and thank you. And it's so true. I know that, I would add to that just every single day, even if it's just a tiny little drop in your day, create a moment of joy for yourself. And the way for me that I do that, and I'm sure you do the same thing, Sheena, because we've talked a bunch, is I just look for something, and I have so many things, but for something to be grateful for, because it's a great place to build from, right? Like I bet you when you look at your daughters and when you look at the art that's hanging behind you and you look at the books that are on the shelf, that 6 of them have you as the author or co-author, and the things that you have coming on, I think back because you painted such a graphic picture of you laying in that bed with the 2 box cutters under the bed and all of that. And you could have said, enough is enough and not been here.
Right.
Instead of enough is enough, I'm not living like this anymore.
Right.
So, right. And so, I always on this show ask people, what do you have to believe to create your victorious life? And it really is, what do you have to believe in your heart? What do you have to think? What do you have to feel? Then what does that cause you to do? And then what do you have? And so as we close for today, and I thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Please tell everybody your website again.
Absolutely. You can find me on www.sheenaunmastingmotivation.com.
And she says Sheena, but it's spelled
Well,
S-H-A.
Shana.
It's spelled Shana, just so you know, because I keep asking, and I've known you how long already, right? And so I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for being present so that we could unmask a few more things for those. I want to thank all of you. Thank you, Vinu. I love you so much. Want to thank all of you that are here and watching right now or in the future. And especially, I want to thank the Spanglish World Network and the Her Network. You can find us also on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check us out at spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. And look up the Victory Network and come play with us on the Victory Network. Can't wait to talk with you. Thank you so much and have such a spectacular and